The pressure of the first big game you're working on, all of a sudden it's a thing that's like, you really can't talk about it to anyone.
I was coming to work with butterflies each day.
Whew, this is by far the biggest thing I've ever worked on. And I try not to let it go to my head and try not to like get too in the clouds about it.
My parents have wondered what I have been working on for the longest time. It's always like 2 questions that come out. It's like, 1, are you still employed? And 2, can you tell me what you're working on?
My brother's a big fan, so like this is like a big secret I had to keep from him. I don't even know what to say. Hey, look, I'm working on KSP 2.
You don't, in general, get an opportunity to work on something that has sort of been at the center of your consciousness, or it's something that you feel genuine desire to work on. And from that perspective, this opportunity is very hard for me to process even now.
I think for me, I've always had a space fascination. So the idea of working on this game really speaks to me because I can go there and do these things that I couldn't before. I'm an explorer at heart.
This is a game that merely gives you toys to play with and an infinite playground in which to play with them. And the things that you create, the problems that you solve, they can be as challenging as you want them to be. I haven't yet found the upper limit of what you can do, even in the original game. And we're expanding it times 1,000.
KSP has always been a fascinating game to me. There are very few games that have been able to take science and turn it into something that's truly fun.
There is nothing like Kerbal Space Program. That first moon landing I got, when I actually achieved it and designed a rocket that could do it under my own power, there was a sense of achievement and satisfaction that I had never gotten anywhere else.
My experience with the game was, after playing it for a little while, I accidentally learned a lot about physics and about orbital mechanics and about the history of rocketry and about the way rockets work. And I learned it all by accident.
We're building a platform. We want to make sure that really everything that we do, the community is able to do. I've always been a fan of developers that share their process and interact with the community, have forums, have Reddit posts, and Kerbal Space Program has consistently over the last 8 years been responsive to community feedback and gone back and forth with them on designing things. That's the reason why I'm in this industry. I wouldn't have become a game developer if it wasn't for developers inspiring me and sharing their experiences and their work.
In the beginning, there were 2 guys. It was sort of an experiment. Back then, we worked on every new release, thinking it may be the last. We had no idea it would explode the way it did.
When someone in the community says, this is the best game ever made, that means a lot for us. We're just trying to keep it going and trying to make it even better.
The community is very strong. They know everything about the game. A very important part of the game is done thanks to the community. They always surprise us with the things they come up with, what we give to them, and they give back to us.
It's so big and so important. I mean, the community lives it and feels it and loves it.
Half of the fun about Kerbal is failing. When you start playing KSP, you would most likely crash the first time. You will learn through failing, but each time you will get a bit further and further away. And there's always this great reward that is you being able to do something by yourself without anyone teaching you.
Kerbal Space Program is one of the most scientifically motivated games in history. It's a game that attempts to simulate essentially NASA. So Nate's asking me questions like we were at a conference together. So I go to conferences to learn about the details of the formation and evolution of planetary systems and kind of what are the limits of the future space telescopes and things that we're going to build. And he's asking me, so how come planets, how come these types of planets form this far out and those don't? And how close can planets actually orbit together? And how is their composition affected by tidal distortion? I mean, these are questions that you need to run large-scale simulations to figure out the answer to, and we still don't know astrophysically. We're trying to observe these things. So he's exactly the right sort of person to lead an effort to take something realistic and turn it into something fun. We've had quite some arguments over email about how close can these planets be together? Is that crater really physical? Can a methane lake really exist at that distance from the star? All this kind of stuff. And I kind of want to know why he's asking these questions.
Can a gas giant theoretically be stripped down to its core by a stellar event of any kind?
Do they even have a core?
So there is a story that we can tell around high-speed oblique collision, recent, so that there hasn't been an opportunity for this lava to cool.
Normal stars in the main sequence have a specific temperature and brightness. And we believe from observations that essentially those two are locked together, they're codependent.
I mean, that was a light bulb moment, right? There's something I've never seen in popular media. Have you?
The big ring system?
Well, no, the notion that a young star system might be full of ringed planets. I've never heard that in my entire life.
People barely talk about young star systems at all.
The importance of Kerbal Space Program is that it's more than just a game. It is the ability to learn and to really grow as a person. It allows you to appreciate this universe that we're in and the world around us.
When I was thinking back to my first experience with Kerbal Space Program, the thing that I think appealed to me most about the experience, and I didn't realize it at the time, was that it's inherently optimistic, that you're creating something from nothing. You're creating a space program. You're essentially, in our game, creating a civilization that spans multiple solar systems. And I can't think of anything else that's that optimistic right now in popular culture.
KSP-1 is the exploration of our nascent space program up to modern day, and KSP-2 explores the near-ish future of what this could be.
Dr. Robert Zubrin talks about how we view the year 1492. There's a bunch of stuff that happened that year, but we only remember one thing that happened that year because it had immense material impact on our current lives. And I think that's probably more true of the people who are advancing space exploration right now. We're going to be naming landmarks after the people who are currently advancing that quest.
We're in a golden age of astrophysics and space astrophysics in particular. As flagship missions get bigger and bigger and more ambitious, are we going to be able to do the next generation of them? That'll be even bigger and more ambitious. Where is the limit?